What is going on, San Antonio? What is going on, South Texas? My name is Mike Jimenez. This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the Alamo City, San Antonio, Texas, West San Antonio, West County, West Bear County represented. Again, Mike Jimenez here, Joe Garcia producing today's show. Joe, how you doing this morning?
Doing good, man. Always busy. We're both always busy this morning, but
Yeah,
we have some news today to talk about as far as the world of sports is concerned. And it's Spurs Day. So I'm dressed in my Spurs gear.
it is Spurs Day, and as Chris Gonzalez reaches out to us on our YouTube stream, asking the question, hey Mike, guess what day it is? Hump Day is what it is. You can be part of the show if you take part in our YouTube stream. Subscribe to the Alamo City Podcast Network. Like and subscribe. We're also available live right now on Twitter and on Facebook as well. We get credit, if you will, if you watch us on YouTube. We can see you and we can see your comments in real time if you do follow us on our YouTube platform. And if you don't follow us on our YouTube platform, do us a favor. Go on there and subscribe anyway, because those numbers kind of help us out as well. This is going to be a fun show. Lots to get into. We had a great show yesterday, Joe. Yesterday, we were balling, man. We were hooping last night, doing the show yesterday, rather. I put a couple of clips up there. Was really excited that we got into the whole conversation about Heather Thomas and the hottie from the 80s. We kind of relived that. That was kind of fun.
Reliving
But
the video shot, the cameraman.
yes, and as you said, the cameraman was doing the Lord's work.
It was.
That was pretty funny. And NYSL Hooper is already in our chat line saying the 80s babe segment yesterday was fire. Lots to get into today. You know, the Spurs back in action tonight on the road. Kind of interesting, though, because Las Vegas has the Spurs favored to win tonight on the road. Again, they're playing the Detroit Pistons, the only other team in the NBA that has a worse record than the Spurs. Spurs having a couple of days rest. The Pistons played last night, playing the second half of a back-to-back tonight. Spurs are favored to win this game. And, Joe, I called it earlier this week. Spurs are going to run off 4 in a row. They're going to run off 4 in a row. I'm calling it. It's going to happen. Going to manifest it, okay?
Oh man, dude.
So we'll get into that. Toronto Raptors head coach. Do you see what this guy did? The dude went off. We're going to hear from Toronto's head coach because he was pissed off about what happened at last night's game against the LA Lakers, which, by the way, benefited your San Antonio Spurs because the Spurs have a top 6 protected pick that belongs right now to the Toronto Raptors. So we'll talk about that. NFL news. I see a lot of arguments right now on Twitter about these big awards that are handed out, whether it be NFL MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Are Cowboy fans going to get pissed off again when it comes to it all? We've seen Dak Prescott go from being kind of a laughingstock, a joke, leading the league in interceptions, to suddenly being an MVP candidate. Does he really have a chance? Secondly, Micah Parsons, third year in the NFL. First 2 seasons was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. And right now, Vegas thinks that he might be runner-up again. Think about that. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? I mean, is it a good thing to say, well, at least he's one of the top 2 players on defense, right? At the same time, you would think that at some point he'd get an award. Or is he going to become like Tim Duncan? Tim Duncan, one of the greatest defenders of all time, never won Defensive Player of the Year. Is he football's version of Tim Duncan? We'll talk about that as well. NFL news and notes. I saw an interview with Travis Kelce where he's talking about the fact that he didn't play Week 18, even though his teammates wanted him to, not because they needed him out there to win the game, but because they wanted him to hit a certain milestone, and he didn't give a damn. So I found that to be very funny. Other news and notes around town that we'll get into, because, again, not only do we talk sports and pop culture and nostalgia, but, just random things that pop up. Interesting. Saw an article today that Northside ISD is considering changing to a 4-day school week. Your kids going to school just 4 days a week. I wonder if that's Monday through Thursday. Is it Tuesday through Friday? Is it Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Would you be okay with that as a parent? Do you think your child would thrive in that type of setting? So we'll get into that as well. Um, some sad news out of Hollywood. An actor passed away that I was a fan of. And he's a Mexican actor. When I say Mexican, I'm not talking about Mexican American. He is from Mexico. But he went to school in Texas and he has ties to San Antonio. He also has ties to the Marvel X-Men franchise. We'll get into that as well because a very, very young man, and he died of a very, very rare disease. So we have lots to get into today. Again, you can be part of the show if you want to take part on our private chat line over here. Again, lots of comments coming in already, so we'll get into that. We might have a guest, we might not. It depends. If he pops up, great. If he doesn't, I understand. He's already given notice that he might not be able to make it today. I'm doing the show from home today because I have an 11:30 work Zoom. Joe, I might be unemployed for about 4 weeks or so, man. So maybe we'll talk about that. Switching brokers, possibly. So we'll get into that as well. But it's not that I'd be unemployed. It's just I wouldn't be able to do business. So basically, I'd be twiddling my thumbs for about 4 weeks if that
Maybe you
happens.
can open your own dog walking business or something, Let Duncan
You know what? I'm counting them. I got 3 dogs here. I see Daisy, I see Cody, I see Duncan. Duncan, who got stuck under the fence for over 2 hours the other day, is now afraid of the fence. He's going nowhere near it. He gets to about 4 feet of it, turns right back around. He wants none of that smoke anymore. But again, be part of the show. If you want to be part of the show, steer us in certain directions. That's perfectly fine. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it fun. Let's have a great show out here. Joe, first topic, your San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs have lost, what is it, like 27 out of 29 games?
Yeah.
Something to that effect. I've lost track. They were 5-3 at one point, and they have lost 27 of 29, if I'm not mistaken. So it was kind of funny going online today because I was waiting for the Vegas odds to come out to see if the Spurs were going to be favored or not in tonight's game against the Detroit Pistons. Now, think about this. I was wondering this morning, are they going to be favored? And I predicted in my mind that they would be, okay, because Detroit coming off a back-to-back. But we're talking about a battle today at 6 p.m. tip-off from Detroit of a 5-30 Spurs team against an 3-34 Detroit team. Combined record of 8-64. These are two teams that are on track to have two of the worst records in NBA history, yet the Spurs tonight on the road are favored by 3.5 points. Victor Wembanyama, we'll probably see him for what? 24 minutes, but not 24:01, man. He gets to 24 minutes, they're going to sit his ass down unless he's going to go out there and check himself back in. But somebody's got to win this game. Somebody's got to lose this game. Joe, are we going to win tonight?
I want to say yes. I do want to say yes, but I don't know what Spurs team's going to show up tonight. Or, if the Pistons are tanking that hard, let's see who they sit. That'll be a telltale sign right there.
That is true. Spurs favored by 3.5 points tonight. Again, tip off at 6 p.m. Rather. The Pistons played last night, and they had a very, very interesting game against Sacramento. And I say it's interesting because I was watching the highlights of this game, and I was kind of following it along as the night went on. At the end of the first quarter, the Detroit Pistons had 47 points.
Yeah.
They were winning 47-29. 47-29. Up by 18 after one, scoring 47 points, and they lost by 21. They lost 131-110 because they got outscored 39-18 and then 33-15 in the second and fourth quarter. Sacramento went off. But let's look at this lineup here that the Spurs are facing tonight. The Spurs are facing a lineup of Domantas Sabonis. I'm sorry, that's Sacramento's team. I'm sorry. They have a guy named Livers. Jalen Duren, Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Bojan Bogdanovic. I mean, they got some players. They got some pieces. It's like the Spurs. They've got some pieces, but they're not a good team.
Yeah.
And the Pistons almost broke the record. I think they tied it, if I'm not mistaken, for most consecutive losses in a row. Again, someone's got to win tonight. Victor Wembanyama, though, is somebody who's been going off these days. Victor Wembanyama, Wemby, I mean, I am impressed by him more and more by the day. He may not win Rookie of the Year, but look, he's balling out the last 4 games. 21 points, 20 points, 27, 24, averaging about 24 and 7, 24 and 8 the last week or so. Prior to that, he had a 30-point game against the Portland Trailblazers. He's shooting better. 6 of 13, 10 of 18, 8 of 16, 8 of 16, 9 of 14. He's shooting around 55% in this 5-game stretch here that he's been playing, averaging about 24 points per game, only in 24 to 25 minutes of play. So Wemby is showing the superstar potential that he has within him. And I think that tonight he's going to go off. And the Spurs played so well against the Milwaukee Bucks. Played so well this weekend, almost winning these games. I think they're due for a win.
Yeah, I have somebody who's going to join us right now. The one and only, the Jefe himself, Jeff Garcia.
Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs, Ken's 5. What's going on, Jeff? How you doing, my man?
Jeff, are you there?
I'm here. I can hear Mike.
Oh yeah, you can't hear Mike. I forget that's the way this thing works. When you're not in studio, Mike, they can't hear a damn thing you say because you're on a different audio channel.
Oh, ask him who he thinks is going to win tonight.
Mike saying, who do you think's going to win tonight, Jeff?
I think I have the Spurs. I believe no Cade Cunningham. So I think the Spurs will be okay. But here's something interesting. 2 of the last 3 Spurs Pistons games have all gone into overtime. So you wonder just how competitive, the toilet bowl game between the Spurs and Pistons will be.
Yeah. Talking to Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. Interesting. I didn't realize that the Spurs had gone to overtime so frequently with the Detroit Pistons. As Jeff mentioned, no Cade Cunningham. Ask him about Wemby and Wemby's play in the last 5 games that he's gone out there.
We want to know what do you think about Wemby's play in the last 5 games?
I think he's turned the corner already in his rookie season. I think he did it. There's no blinker on. There's nothing like that. I think he's turned the corner. He scored in double figures, I believe, in 6 straight games, and then 20 or more in the last 5 games. But you put the numbers aside, what I'm more impressed about is how he is vocally on the court. We saw how he was with Trey Jones when Jones missed the 3 versus the Bucks. I saw him going up to Blake Wesley and kind of getting on him for missing him for a wide open dunk at a home game recently. And then, of course, the video that went viral of him screaming out, the F word as he exited the game versus the Cavs in a loss. So I like seeing all that stuff. You throw in also self-checking in yourself, against Pop. We're literally behind Pop's back. So I think he's turned the corner in all aspects of his game. But the one thing I'm worried about is the rookie wall. That rookie wall is coming up very soon. I want to see how he handles that.
Now I predict that the Spurs are going to win 4 games in a row.
Yeah, so Mike's saying he's predicting that the Spurs are going to win the next 4 games in a row. I think Mike's smoking something, Jeff, because I think they got a good shot against the Pistons. But beyond that, I think the Spurs are just going to spur again. They have shown that they don't know how to close games in the fourth quarter. They still make some little mistakes here and there that really cost them close games down the stretch. And hopefully they can learn from their mistakes, but it's just a young team, Jeff. What do you think? You think they're going to win the next 4?
Okay, so I look at the next 4. Pistons, Hornets, Bulls, Hawks.
Yeah.
So I got them penciled in for a win tonight. They better not lose tonight. Not to the Pistons. But so Hornets, I think it'll be a competitive game, but I would surprised that comes down to the last last final minutes. Bulls, I think Bulls get the W on there. So I don't think they'll go 4 straight. And I think Hawks, I think the Spurs will lose that game. I got them going 2-2 in the next 4.
Jason Garcia reaches out to us on our YouTube stream saying that he likes the way the Spurs are losing recently, not getting blown out, fighting for that W. And that's the thing. The Spurs have been playing so well lately. Milwaukee, we saw Victor Wembanyama stand up to Giannis Antetokounmpo. We saw them go toe-to-toe with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Those are really good teams, and hopefully the Spurs get something out of it, maybe a confidence boost when it comes to it. Now, we do have someone, Joe, saying that there's a bit of an echo.
Yeah, I fixed the echo. I
You
put
fixed
the
the
echo
echo?
cancellation
Yeah,
on.
I heard it too. The big news, though, that a lot of Spurs fans have been talking about, though, all yesterday morning, all last night was about Dejounte Murray. Sean Sharamia of The Athletic was on a show that that features Michelle Beadle of San Antonio on FanDuel, and they were talking about the fact that the Spurs have shown some interest in getting Dejounte Murray back onto the team, according to Sham Charania of The Athletic, a very reputable source.
Yeah.
Ask Jeff what he thinks about the whole rumor mill involving Dejounte Murray.
Yeah, Jeff, we want to know what your take is on the Spurs rumored to be interested in one Dejounte Murray. How well do you think if they went ahead and they did do a trade with Atlanta, bring Dejounte back, do you think it would be a good fit?
Well, one, I don't think it's going to happen. First of all, I just don't think
they'd have to give up a lot, Jeff, and that's what I was telling Spurs fans. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. But the Spurs can afford it, but do they want to mortgage a big chunk of their assets?
Yeah.
In Dejounte, I don't know about that. But if it does happen, there's pros and cons. And we'll start off the cons. He tends to be ball dominant. Well, he work in with Wemby in that aspect. You look at the pros. You got yourself an established all-star point guard to go into the system, and he fits this quote-unquote timeline of the Spurs. He's not old; he's still young, and I think he will definitely be another threat on that court, on both ends of the court. The Spurs, defensively, they got their issues, especially in the perimeter.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Dejounte would solve that. So you got a guy who's also averaging, I think about 20-ish, 21 points per game right now with Atlanta.
I forgot to share your picture, Jeff.
And that's with him having the chemistry issues with the Hawks and Trae Young. So he's doing pretty well. So although I don't think ultimately it would happen, I do think it would be a pretty good fit.
Yeah, I had to bring up your graphic, with you in the top hat and all the bling all over the place and your private plane and everything, Jeff.
Oh my goodness.
We got ourselves a tip from Garrett.
From the Netherlands. I'm gonna go
from the Netherlands. We're going worldwide, baby. We're like we're like Pitbull, baby, Mr. Worldwide. So Garrett Vander Kriff says, greetings from the Netherlands. I enjoy listening to you guys as I'm a Dutch Spurs fan. Wanted to ask when Wemby's time restriction is going to be lifted.
Yeah, so Jeff, we have a fan here from the Netherlands that just went ahead and gifted us some money here, joining us from on YouTube with the super chat. And he's wanted to know, when do you think Wemby's time restrictions will be lifted?
I think the Spurs are going to spur, and I think they're going to take their sweet ass time. I really think so. They're not going to rush him. He threw in the hat. If you saw his post game conference chat, versus I think it was the Cavs, where he said that he's accepted it, that he's just going to roll with it. But he did send out a warning shot to the rest of the league saying once it's lifted, it's game on. So what this is just so outstanding about him is that his stretch of games right now is on a minutes restriction. So imagine he was playing 30 or more minutes right now. Those numbers must be just insane. Perhaps the Spurs do beat the Bucks or they do beat the Cavs. So I think once that minutes restriction comes up, then this team could possibly start seeing a lot of wins. They got to do it this month, though. This is the softest month of the schedule right now. This is where it has to happen. Yeah. I think it beefs up again, right? Because after these next four,
Yeah.
You got what?
Yeah, it
You got,
does.
the Celtics on the schedule, the Sixers, the Thunder,
Wizards. You got Wizards,
the
76ers, Thunder.
the Wolves.
Mhm.
So they got to do it in this month. This is like they got to do it. If they're going to get some wins of the season, they have to do it now.
Yeah, the rest of the season, as far as the teams that they're playing, they're not easy wins for the San Antonio Spurs. This is going to be, like you said, the softest part of the schedule that they have, the best opportunity to string together some wins. And Jeff, let's not forget, we have the infamous rodeo road trip knocking
Yeah,
on
it's
the
going
door
to
here. It's going to be
Yep.
coming up. So that's going to be
Yeah.
brutal. Do you think the Spurs go winless on the road trip this season?
No, I think they get one or two. When does it start? It starts February, right? So was
Yeah,
that like
February.
let me get here. So February 7th, I believe,
Let's see.
against the Heat.
Yep.
Against the Heat.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, the Heat will be a problem for them. The Magic will be a problem for them. The Nets will be a problem for them. Maybe the Raptors, maybe that one. Dallas is going to be a problem for them. The King. Oh, that's a brutal road trip.
It is. You know what, Jeff? I'm
Yeah.
going to be at the game this Friday. So I'll probably be there hanging out with my boy Jonas Clark, who's a producer of the Sports Grind over on, they're on their channel there. So maybe we'll stop by and say hi to you at the game if you're there.
Oh yeah, for sure. We go to that spot upstairs where remember me, you, and Jimenez met up one time.
Oh yeah, I know which
Yeah.
one you're taking. I won't say it because
Yeah,
then we'll have people hunting us down.
Oh
But
yeah. Good idea.
Very cool.
We're like, where's Joe?
they're gonna be
He's our
saying,
show
"Where's
now."
Jeff?" Jeff said he's gonna buy everybody a beer. He's gonna be like, "No. That's
Yeah,
Joe, not me."
I meant Joe Garcia, not Jeff Garcia.
Ask Jeff real fast what he's working on for Ken's 5 and Locked On Spurs. I saw they made an announcement today about a Pride Night game. And then also The Rock. Don't forget, they're going to have a second job search, if you will. They're going to have people going out there looking for a job over there at The Rock. They need bartenders and whatnot for the new facility out there.
Maybe you
Ask
might
Jeff what he's
join,
working
Mike.
on.
You're gonna be jobless here for a couple weeks. Hey Jeff, so we want to know what you got cooking up here, coming up down the
Yeah.
pipe for Locked On Spurs, and
Yeah.
you're working on anything for Ken's 5, any stories?
Yeah, well, the first one actually a couple of them. Yesterday, I had a chance to, well, not yesterday, but I released an article. I had a conversation with Malachi Branham and Julian Champagny about this month and how not only is it kind of a soft schedule, but just like how crammed it is, how hectic it is. Everybody looks at their road home games for the month of January. They're kind of like all over the map. So those two Spurs players spoke to me about dealing with that type of erratic month. That's up right now. Also, Locked On Spurs just got released. That was a fun one. And I think, Mike, Joe, you all will appreciate the guest. He's Raul Flores of the AP Radio.
Okay.
And in the final segment, he talks about attending the very first Spurs game as an NBA team in San Antonio when the Hemisphere Arena was just one level only. And we're talking about the very first game against the San Diego Conquistadors. So he talks about what it was like, how the city received the Spurs and getting a pro team.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really good walk down memory lane, especially for the kids that never got to experience Hemisphere Arena. So he gets into all that. He even shows off, and I'm not kidding you, the original, not a reprint, original Iceman Ice Throne Nike poster. He has it, and he shows it off.
Nice.
Yeah, so it just got released right now. We also previewed tonight's Spurs-Pistons game, and we also discussed about whether if Wemby has turned the corner or not. So that's just right now. Go to Locked On Spurs on YouTube.
Hey, so we got a viewer here that's watching this, avid viewer, the supporter of the show, Tim Gonzalez. He says, Jeff, what about the Spurs playing in France next year? He's just asking.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, that's good. I mean, obviously it's going to happen. It's not like we've not seen this before. Remember Tony Parker when he was a Spur? They played in France. I believe that happened on a couple occasions. I think. So I mean, not too surprising. Obviously, Wemby is the NBA's poster child right now, so they're going to want to promote him. And I think this is a good thing. It's going to help the Spurs, the fan base, whatnot. And also, too, the Olympics are right around the corner, too. The 2024 Olympics are this summer. So
You're going to be covering the Olympics, Jeff?
Man, I wish I could get paid for the Olympics. Cover Team USA and Wemby.
You're going to be able to board your private plane and fly right over there, man.
Nah.
Eating the steak 30,000 feet in the air, right, Mike?
That's right, baby. It's a French steak. That's what Jeff Garcia likes. That's Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. Ken's 5. Thank you for being with us today, Jeff. He also reported today that the Spurs announced a Pride Night game at the Frost Bank Center for Friday, January 12th. Exactly. It's going to be
It's this Friday.
And it's going to be in honor of the LGBTQIA plus community. There's going to be a T-shirt, streetwear involved in all of that. Fans can text Pride to 210-444-5050 to purchase a ticket package. Jeff Garcia, thanks for being on with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. We appreciate you.
Not a problem. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Talking about the NBA and what Jeff is going through right there, what I find interesting is that right now the Spurs are on track to have 2 first-round draft picks this upcoming season. Right now, the Spurs have the second worst record in the NBA. And if all things ended the way that they are right now, the Spurs would have somewhere between the first pick and the 6th pick after the lottery, right? Worst case scenario, they're drafting 6th. Best case scenario, number 1. 50% chance, give or take, that they'll be in the top 4. 50% chance, give or take, that they'll be 5 or 6. Then they have that pick over there from Toronto that is top 6 protected. And as of right now, according to Tankathon, the Spurs right now have a pick that is guesstimated to be in the number 8 spot. But what's funny is that I go through all of these different mock drafts, whether it be Fansided, Bleacher Report, The Athletic, CBS Sports, USA Today, ESPN, and all of them. You see all these players, Joe, and you get the idea that its beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because there's some players that are slated on some mocks to be a number 2, 3, or 4 pick, and in a different mock, number 13 or 14. Yeah, and it's just so weird. Then we have some injuries. Nikola Topic, who's considered to be one of the best point guards that is out there compared to SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And he has an injury that's going to sideline him for 6 weeks. There's other injuries going out there. So now they're going up and down the draft. Dillingham over at Kentucky is just balling out these days, and he's rising through the ranks right now. So I find it interesting that this draft does not have that number 1 guy like Victor Wembanyama. Last year it was like number 1's going to be Victor Wembanyama. Number 2 was going to be Scoot. Number 3 was going to be Brandon Miller, and then everybody fall in line at that point. This year, it's not like that. This year, it's like, Sarr, Topic, Jacoby Walter, Ron Holland. Ron Holland, rather. People saying Isaiah Collier. You can talk yourself into about 3 or 4, 5 different players at each position that the Spurs are picking at. So it's kind of a weird thing.
It is a weird thing, man. It's goes to show you, like every draft is going to be extremely different. While you had big marquee names in last year's draft, Spurs got lucky, got Wemby. This year's draft still has some gems in there, but they're not the marquee names that you were hearing last season. But there's still talent to be had there in this year's draft. I think the Spurs have a better chance if they want to go ahead and make a trade with somebody. Maybe they could fall down a little bit in the draft and actually get more picks and more value if they don't really see anybody there in picks 1 through 5 that they really need to have.
Because the player you're getting at 3 is just as talented as the one you're getting at 8. Exactly. There's not a tier 1 level.
Yeah.
And Spurs fans, a lot of them are getting really excited about Rob Dillingham, who's a point guard. He's a combo guard who plays for Kentucky. And he's compared to Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
Kemba Walker, is he a point guard or is he a shooting guard? He's kind of just a guard, right? He's a 1-2, right?
Yeah.
And, this is a guy that is not as tall. He's 6'3". He's 176 pounds. But the guy can just knock down 3 after 3 after 3, and that's what the Spurs need. The Spurs need guys who can put the ball in the hoop.
Especially from beyond the arc. They're not a very good three-point shooting team.
Exactly, because you can't go out there with a lineup of Trey Jones and Jeremy Sohan because neither one of them can knock down a jumper.
Oh, come on, man. No Jeremy Sohan slander today, Mike.
Dude, I'm lumping him with Trey Jones. If you look at collectively, they can't shoot.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not like Wemby's lights out from three either. I mean, he's barely at 30%. So you can't have three players that are out there like that. And then you have a streaky Zach Collins. The Spurs need guys who can fill the cup. And that's why Nick Topic and Dillingham are probably the two players that I am most excited about. I always get this guy's name mispronounced, and I'll learn it better. Is it Risa Shea? Who's also in the draft, considered to be a top 5 prospect. That guy can shoot lights out as well.
You know, one of the things that I was going to say, man, Zach Collins, he's been out of the lineup. Spurs have actually looked more competitive and played better defensively without Zach Collins. What does that tell you, man?
Yeah, that Zach Collins contract is looking like trash by the day, man.
It was a bad move by the San Antonio Spurs. Zach Collins, I know that some of the Spurs fans are enamored with him. I'm not one of those, and neither is Leja. We have a nickname for him. We call him Booty Crumbs.
Yeah.
Because most nights what's going to happen is he's just going to get beat defensively. He's a defensive liability when he's out there with the Spurs. Beyond him putting up some points, you need defense to win the game. And unfortunately, Collins isn't that guy.
Well, let's take a look at this. Next year, Collins is owed $16.7 million. He's the third highest paid Spur as of right now next season. After that, he's going to be the second highest paid Spur for the 25-26 season, and then he becomes a free agent. But the weird thing about it is that a lot of Spurs fans are telling me, well, we'll figure things out during free agency. With what cap space?
They don't
the
have
Spurs
that
blew their
money.
cap space and have no veterans to show for it. Okay, so here's who we have under contract next year. We have Devin Vassell jumping from $6 million to $29 million. Okay, that's the going rate for what he does. So $29 million. Keldon Johnson at 19. Zach Collins at just under 17. Wemby at just under 13. Devontae Graham is still on the team for $12.5 million next year.
Yeah, they're
Then
going
you've got Trey Jones at 9. Then you've got Sohan at 5. Branham at 3. Champagnie at 3. Blake Wesley at 2.5. And then you have some team options on a Charles Bassey. They could team option him for 2.5, and then you have City Sissoko. So I'm going to count that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13 players. The Spurs are going to trot out there the same team that they have out there right now, plus whoever they get as a first-round draft pick if they get 1 or 2 this year. So the idea that the Spurs are going to suddenly just going to sign all these pieces either means the Spurs are going to trade for a vet. That's the only way they're going to do it. They're going to trade for a vet.
What valuable assets do the Spurs have? They're going to trade for. They're going to get rid of Sohan. Who wants him?
Sohan and Keldon.
Who wants him?
Some people like Sohan, and Sohan might be a good player for a good team. Case in point, Derek White, Boston Celtics. Derek White right now is playing like a top 25 player in the NBA.
He's been
top
set
25, free. Top 30.
Yeah.
Dude, you put Derek White on the Detroit Pistons, you put him on the San Antonio Spurs, he's nothing. Okay? He thrives being around better players. And I think that that's the Sohan effect in a way that Sohan's going to go someplace else in a few years and might start to become a very, very good player because of a better system for him, for how he's utilized, and also because he wouldn't be the number one option. He would not be asked to be point guard. He wouldn't be asked to do this and the other.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that some players fit a role perfectly, and Derek White fits that role in Boston because he's not the number one guy. That's Tatum, that is Jalen, that is other players out there. He's able to just simply do his thing and do his thing well. Caps 210 saying replace Sohan with Draymond Green.
I saw that.
Dude, the excitement of, well, Sohan's kind of like Draymond Green. Why is that exciting? You put Draymond on other teams. Draymond is good because he has played his entire career with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. That is why he's good.
Yeah.
You put this guy on the Milwaukee Bucks before they had Giannis. You put him on the Pistons now, the Spurs now. He's going to suck ass because he's a niche player who plays a niche type of role. And that's what Sohan is. And so Sohan could actually be very good. But the most tradable piece that the Spurs have is Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson, because he's very marketable. He's under contract until 2027. But he has a decreasing salary along the way. Whereas most players have salaries that increase along the way. Keldon Johnson has gone from $20 million to $19 next year. The year after that, 17.5. The year after that, 17.5. Keldon Johnson is a bargain for what he does, for what he produces. He is the best trade chip that the San Antonio Spurs have because he produces. He's a gold medalist. That's marketing right there. And on top of that, a very manageable contract. And Spurs fans were pissed off when he got that deal. I'm like, 17, 18 million a year? It's not bad, man. Not bad at all.
We have a question from Mario Cavazos watching us on YouTube. Thank you for the support, and interacting with us. He said, if Atlanta asked for Devin in a trade for DJ, would you do it?
No. It would basically be, and I don't think that they would because you have Trae Young over there who kind of fits a very similar, he's their shooting guard over there. So I don't think that they would.
This comment right here is just something you would say.
It's something I have said.
Yep.
Jacob reached out to Spurs fans only like Jeremy because he colors his hair. I mean, we watch the same games, man. We watch the same games. I don't see what other people are seeing. And it's not me being a hater. I'm just looking around going, I mean,
oh, man. Look at that one. James Molina. Draymond Green
is Sohan's ceiling. What are we expecting him to be? Well, Draymond Green was never a point guard, right? He brought the ball up every once in a while, but was never a point guard. Cap's coming out and saying that Keldon has value for sure. That's our only trade piece. And then the other pieces of the Spurs have are expiring contracts. That would be Doug McDermott. Doug McDermott on a good team might actually be a very, very good fit for a team like a Denver, for a team like a Clippers team. Go out there and be the fourth or fifth guy or be the second guy off the bench. Doug McDermott can do that. He might not be very good defensively, but offensively, the guy knocks down threes, man. He knocks down threes. Hey, let's turn our attention to the Toronto Raptors. Again, the Spurs have a top 6 protected pick of the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors lost last night by 1 point to the LA Lakers. And after the game, the head coach of the Toronto Raptors lost his mind. Let me know when you've got that, by the way, because the Toronto Raptors head coach was furious because the Raptors were up before the fourth quarter started. They were up by 1 point. But what pissed off the head coach, Darko Rajakovic, is the fact that the Raptors only had 2 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter, while as the LA Lakers, LeBron James, Anthony Davis had more than 20 in the final frame. Yeah. They lost by one.
We got the video ready to go.
Thank you, Doug. That's outrageous. What happened tonight? This is completely BS. This is shame. Shame for the referees, shame for the league to allow this. 23 free throws for them, and we get 2 free throws in the fourth quarter. Like, how to play the game. I understand respect for all stars and all that, but we have star players on our team as well. How's possible that Scotty Barnes, who is all-star caliber player in this league, he goes every single time to the rim with force and trying to get to the rim without flopping and not trying to get foul calls. He gets 2 free throws for the whole game. How's that possible? How are you going to explain that to me? They had to win tonight? If that's the case, just let us know so we don't show up for the game. Just give them a win. But that was not fair tonight. And this is not happening first time for us. Scotty Barnes is going to be all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. And what's happening over here during whole season, I've been holding it back. It's a complete crap.
Head coach of Toronto Raptors. We have a bit of a echo.
Yeah, I'll get rid of the echo. There you go.
That was head coach of the Toronto Raptors going off last night after the Lakers beat his team 132-131. Again, he was saying, how did they get to the free throw line 23 times and only us twice? Scotty Barnes, all-star caliber. And ESPN on SportsCenter showed a lot of the drives that Scotty Barnes was taking. And Barnes, who was a lottery pick a few years ago, is a very good player. He averages about 21 points per game. He was taking it to the cup. He was getting mauled, and they didn't call anything. And this is the whole thing about the Lakers, man. The Lakers forever get calls. And if you take a look at that entire team, they forever and ever, amen, get calls. Scotty Barnes last night. So check this out. Look at these stats here. The Raptors had 4 players who scored 21 or more points. Quickly had 21. Barrett had 23. Siakam 25 and Barnes 26. But from a free throw perspective, Quickly only took 3 attempts. Barrett took only 3 attempts. Scotty Barnes, who, as the head coach was mentioning, bangs bodies, is trying to get contact without flopping, 2 attempts. Pascal Siakam, just 3 attempts. Collectively, 11 the entire night, and they played a combined 120 minutes. But you go over to the Lakers side of the house. Anthony Davis had 14 attempts on his own. Anthony Davis had more free throw attempts than Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, and Quickly combined. Really? Really? Now, LeBron only had 6. He typically has more than that. Austin Reeves was 4 for 4. And as James Molina points out, says that Austin Reeves was flopping like a fish last night. But the Lakers got the win, man. And the Lakers are now 19-19. We can't have the Lakers have a losing record, right? This is the champion of, what was it called again? The in-season tournament champion.
Jeez, man.
In-season tournament champion. Yay, they hung a banner up on the rafters and they're 19-19. Stupid. It just shows the in-season tournament's just trash. But I do respect it, and that head coach of the Toronto Raptors is going to be fined. He's not going to be suspended, but he's going to be fined. But, there's certain teams out there that complain that they don't get calls. But if you're a jump shooting team, you don't get calls. But RJ Barrett drives in. Siakam bangs bodies. Scotty Barnes drives in and bangs bodies. They should be getting some calls along the way. But for Anthony Davis to have more free throw attempts than those 4 players combined is ridiculous.
There's some audio here of one Dejounte Murray from our good friend Hector Ledesma. And it's just him talking, about the Spurs and how he's happy for them, getting Victor Wembanyama, and telling them, kind of letting Hector know, I guess, that the Spurs helped him understand what it's like to be a professional. And he's excited for the Spurs organization to have somebody like Wemby around.
Let's hear it.
All right. So let me go ahead and get that for you. Let me go ahead and get the video here on screen so y'all can see.
Okay. So again, the whole thing about Dejounte Murray is that Shams Charania of The Athletic is reporting that the Spurs have some exploratory interest in getting Dejounte Murray back. Friend of the show, as you were talking about, that was Hector Ledesma.
Ledesma, yeah, here it is.
Getting this interview with Dejounte Murray a few weeks back. I'm not hearing anything on my end. So, for those of you who don't know, Dejounte Murray is also someone who's upset some Spurs players, not Spurs players, Spurs fans along the way, because
Yeah.
he walked out the door saying that the team was going to be losing year upon year after year after he left, and he was not happy with certain aspects of the city. He says he loves Spurs fans, that he loves the Spurs organization, and we see he and Pop come together and embrace every time he's in town. Dejounte Murray signed a contract extension to keep him under contract for 4 more years after the season. Hasn't even kicked in yet. So if the Spurs were to trade for him, he's not a rental. This is a guy that you would be getting for a good period of time. And do we have that sound, or did it go away?
No, I took it away, but I mean, it was here.
Yeah.
Play it again if you'd like.
Okay, did you hear it before?
Yeah, I was hearing it. Hold on. I'll play it on here again.
Okay, let's do it one more time.
And let me get the audio.
And if you don't hear it, let us know on the chat line.
Yeah, y'all probably can't hear it, man. But
Okay, very
for
cool.
whatever reason, that video doesn't want to play. I don't know why.
We'll just move on. Let's move on to the NFL, because I was taking a look at the Vegas odds on NFL MVP and also looking at the Vegas odds when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year. And it's predicting that Cowboy fans are going to get pissed off, because it's predicting that Dak Prescott will be runner-up when it comes to MVP, losing out to Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. The prediction is also that Micah Parsons will come in second in Defensive Player of the Year to Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns, and potentially third behind TJ Watt. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that Dak Prescott should get the award above Lamar Jackson?
I don't think he should, man. If you're looking at what Lamar Jackson has done with the Ravens, they've beaten a better caliber of team. The Cowboys, not so much. You look at their schedule and you see who the Cowboys have beaten, and they haven't been able to beat teams with winning records consistently. The Ravens have. Lamar Jackson has shown that he performs at a very high level against some of the better teams in the NFL. To me, that should be the deciding factor there, you know?
My good friend Rudy J from San Antonio Sportscast, he and I were debating this on Facebook earlier today, because he posted his belief that Dak Prescott should be the MVP. And I responded back with, well, the Ravens beat the Niners, Dolphins.
Yeah, there you go.
Cowboys got their asses handed to them by both of those teams.
Yeah.
The Ravens also beat the living crap out of the Detroit Lions, and the Cowboys beat the Lions thanks in part
By
to
default.
they got by the referees, right?
Yeah.
The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals. The Ravens beat the Cardinals. So when you take a look at the teams that they played that were similar, the Ravens won. Rudy J was like, well, it's because of the Ravens defense. Well, I'm sure that has something to do with it, but it's not like the Cowboys defense sucks. Cowboys defense has Micah Parsons, has Darren Bland breaking the record for the most pick sixes in a single season. You've got Tank Lawrence back there. You had Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
So no, I don't buy it. And on top of that, I was taking a look at strength of schedule in the NFL. Did you know 32 teams in the NFL, right? So you have the top half, 1 through 16, the bottom half, 17 through 32, when it comes to strength of schedule. Did you know out of the 14 teams that have made the playoffs this year, 12 of them are on the bottom half of strength of schedule? 12 of the 14 teams in the playoffs this year had a below average strength of schedule. The only 2 teams that had a strong schedule and still made the playoffs happened to be number 1 and 2. Number 1 being the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, the Houston Texans. They had the 2 hardest schedules in the entire NFL, and both made the playoffs. Now, somewhere around 19 and 20, you find the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. So it's kind of interesting to see all that. And when it comes to these awards that are coming out, Dak Prescott being the runner-up is more than likely going to happen. In fact, Vegas odds are so strong on Lamar Jackson that if you bet $100 that Lamar Jackson was going to win the MVP, do you know what you would get back as a profit?
How much?
50 cents. So Dak winning MVP is not going to happen according to Vegas. Now, can Micah Parsons win Defensive Player of the Year? That is a little bit more up in the air when it comes to it. As of now, Myles Garrett, man, that Cleveland defense is stout, man. I mean, they somehow made their way into the playoffs with Joe Flacco at quarterback under center, and they went through 4 quarterbacks this year. But Myles Garrett, defensive end, is considered to be the slight favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. Just behind him, Micah Parsons and TJ Watt. Again, we've had back-to-back years where Micah Parsons has been the runner-up, and it looks, according to Vegas, that he's going to be runner-up for the 3rd year in a row. Fascinating.
It is, man. But at the end of the day, I think Dak is going to be in the conversation, but I don't believe he'll win the MVP.
Yeah, he'll be runner-up. Now, let me ask you this. I saw a stat today, and I don't know if it's fake or not. It's about the Green Bay Packers playing the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry World. Do you know what the Packers' record is at AT&T Stadium?
I don't know what it is. I can imagine that it's a winning record.
Cowboys play Green Bay at AT&T. Again, the Cowboys have not lost at AT&T in like almost 2 years. The only team in the NFL to have an undefeated record at home this year. The Green Bay Packers record at AT&T Stadium since they moved in there over a decade ago is 4-0. Green Bay has never lost at Jerry World. Does that concern you, Joe Garcia?
Always concerns me, man. Like I told you, I don't believe in Dakota Rain Prescott. I don't care how well he's played in the regular season. That shit doesn't matter. What matters is how you play in the biggest moments. When the light shines the brightest, Dakota folds like a folding chair, a cheap $2 folding chair. That's Dakota Rain Prescott. Until he can win the big game, he'll prove something to me. But right now, I don't have no faith in him. No faith.
No faith. Okay. But it's a different team. There's no Aaron Rodgers there anymore. Aaron Rodgers, man, he owned 2 teams. He owned the Chicago Bears, and he kind of owned the Cowboys too.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love,
call Aaron Rodgers daddy.
Yeah. Jordan Love, though, 18-1. 18-1 when it comes to 18 touchdowns, 1 interception in the last 8 games or so. So Jordan Love's playing very well. Chris Gonzalez asking the question, does that include their Super Bowl win? It might. But the fact of the matter is that they win there. All they do is win. It was kind of like Kyler Murray. For a while there, all he did was win at Jerry World, whether it be in college or in the NFL or in high school. All he did was win there. There's something to be said about that. But the Cowboys are favored by over a touchdown to win the first round of the playoffs. 3:25 kickoff on Sunday. Surprised that they're not playing the Sunday night game, but it's 3:25 kickoff from Jerry World. I think the Cowboys are going to win.
Yeah, look at that. Jacob Eric's laughing. He says he loves when I call Dakota by his full name. I ain't buying no Prescott jersey. I'll tell you that right now. I don't care if anybody gave it to me. You got the receipt because I'm taking that sucker back.
That's kind of funny, man. Hey, let's go into some interesting news around San Antonio. Okay, and again, we talk a lot about sports. We did an hour of sports talk, but let's kind of just switch gears a little bit. Found it interesting. There was an article on WOAI.com today, and I saw it on other areas as well, talking about the fact that Northside ISD, which is the largest school district in San Antonio, over 100,000 students, including one of mine, actually 2 of mine, is tinkering with the idea, and they're asking parents, yes or no, would you be supportive of this, of changing it up from a 5-day week to a 4-day school week? Okay, so most kids go in, like my kid goes in around 8:35, gets out at 3:45. So it goes in there, so that's like 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So it goes in for 7 hours, right? having middle schools and high schools, not the elementaries, middle schools and high schools go to a 4-day week where they're there for 10 hours. So I'm assuming they get there a little bit early. Maybe they get there at 8. Maybe they leave at 6. They put in a full day's work just like we do, but might have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And the district is saying that they can't do this for the next 2 years. Right? The earliest that they can do this is the 2026, 27 calendar, I believe, or something to that effect. But it would affect only middle schools and high schools. There are other districts, I think Medina Valley might be looking at this as well. And there's other districts around the state who have either implemented this or have become so interested in this that they're exploring this as an option. I like it. I like this for school. I like this for just life in general to do it this way. Henry Ford has been around, has been dead for years, right?
Oh,
if you don't know who Henry Ford is, right? The car maker, right? We have Ford F-150s and whatnot. He's the one who instituted the whole 5-day work week, 9 to 6, 8 to 5. We have him to blame for that. I would much rather work 4 days at 10 hours than and have 3 days off than have just 2 days off. Having 2 days off, like if I'm off on Saturday, Saturday's great, right? But I can't enjoy Sunday because I know I have to switch gears and go into work mode around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're talking about that schedule. That's currently my schedule. Today is my Friday. So I'm going to be off for the next 3 days because I work 4 10-hour shifts in a row.
Yeah.
So north side, or not north side, but the school districts even tinkering with the idea of having the kids go 4 days out of the 5-day, let's say normal school schedule. What's that going to do with the parents? So you got parents that are working, right? Are they just going to go ahead and say, are you going to give us a 4-day work week as well?
Go along with it?
Yeah, because let's be honest. These are going to be kids that aren't like little kids that you're going to need daycare and attention, need to go ahead and give them special attention. They're pretty self-sufficient when you're in middle school, high school. You can do your own things, So the thing is, though, if you let these kids have an extra day to tinker with, what do you think is going to do with the crime rate? What do you think is going to do with the graffiti all over the place? So it has its goods, it has its bad, but at the end of the day, I think that the school district would do this just to save operating costs. That's what it boils down to.
So someone asked a question, Chris Gonzalez on our YouTube stream asking the questions, do teachers get a 4-day work week and would they be, or Sam Salinas actually asked the question, teachers would be expected to continue 5 days. And actually districts that have implemented this have not done that. I'm looking at an article right now on NPR News, which was dated November 8th of 2023. So just 2 months ago, was talking about the fact that there are some states that are already doing this in large numbers. In Missouri, 30% of the districts over there have 4-day school weeks. In Colorado, 67%. And in Texas, more than 24 school districts have already switched to a 4-day school week. So this is not like pie in the sky thinking, it'll never happen. It's already happening and gaining momentum. Now, that article on NPR was saying that the reason why they're doing this, one of the big reasons, is for teacher retention, because teachers are leaving the field or not getting into the field at all. I have a friend of mine, Kim, who was a teacher of the year, high school teacher of the year for her school here locally, did a fantastic job, did it for a decade, and decided that she just didn't want to be a teacher anymore and went into finance like me, and I trained her. And why was that? It's because, A, teachers don't get paid dick.
Yeah.
Okay? They have to put up with parents who believe their kids don't do anything wrong. They have to put up with administrators who fear for their, who fear bad test scores and things like that. They have to deal with things like school shooting drills. I haven't had a shooting drill at an office building that I've been at, but schools do, right? So bad pay, bad morale, shitty parents, crappy administrators, working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, having to pay out of pocket for their own expenses. So these school districts are saying, not only do we think that this is better for the students because the students might be able to learn more if they're there longer, but for the teachers, it's an incentive to say, hey, come work here. It's only 4 days a week. You get 3 days off, and on top of that, you got the summers off.
Yeah.
It's got to happen, man. And it's going to happen. More and more schools are going to do it. And it's like dominoes. One's going to fall, then the next one's going to fall, then the next one's going to fall.
If Northside does it, then everybody else will follow suit.
Jacob reaches out to us on our YouTube stream. That just means the high school pregnancy rate will go up.
We're looking at you, John Jay.
I mean, growing up back in the day, Holmes High School had a daycare, an on-site daycare, and it wasn't for the teachers. Man. Alonzo reaches out and says,
years old. Hey, I'm dropping you off today, mijo.
Alonzo reaches out on our YouTube stream saying, I believe a school district does that here in the RGV. Yeah, I had read that there were 27 school districts as of 2021 in Texas that did it. So I'm sure that number is a little bit higher now.
Yeah.
But you need to have a big school district do it. Big school district do it. And then if that improves test scores, because I mean, think about it this way. You know, you go to a school, you go to like, my daughter's in middle school, right? And she has to go to like 8 classes in 7 hours and somehow fit in lunch, right? You go into a class, part of it is changing classes, you know, that's 6 minutes to go from one class to the next. And then on top of that, you have to take roll. And then at the end of the class, you have to like, you know, settle down, get your bags together and all that stuff. There's so much lost time in that 1 hour class time, right? So if you have it a little bit longer, it's going to be better. Dude, when I was in college, my Tuesday, Thursday classes were so much better than my Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, even though Tuesday, Thursday classes were an hour and a half long as opposed to just 55 minutes.
I'm with Chris Gonzalez, dude. Get rid of all the damn tests. That test nonsense has been the biggest money grab ever.
There's got to be something that shows whether or not you understand the material. I understand that tests are biased because there's a bias when it comes to testing because, you know, there's the way that it's written. I'll give you an example. A good friend of mine talks about the fact that he missed a test question growing up, and he realized that it was something that was biased. Was they asked a question about having a mantle in your home, and he goes, "I don't know what the fuck a mantle was." You know, that is something that higher end homes might have.
Yeah.
You know, but if you live in an apartment complex, if you live in a trailer, if you live in a manufactured home, if you live in most houses in Texas, you don't have mantles.
Yeah.
But there's somebody who would know what a mantle is only if they are more affluent, or at least their families are.
Yeah. But
and
I don't know, man. At the end of the day, there's got to be a better way to go ahead and gauge how well a school is effectively teaching your children, you know, because the test, they waste so much money every year. You have to go ahead and get all the curriculum and all this information, and I'm sure it's not free. Then you got to pay to take the test, and that costs money too. So at the end of the day, what are you doing? It's to me, it's
someone's going to make money off of it. Someone's going to make money off of it, right? So, I mean, but the thing is that how do you gauge whether or not someone mastered something other than asking them, do they know how to do it?
You give them a test, just a regular old test, midterm, a final, you know?
Yeah, but then those will then get graded on a curve. Those will do all that. And then you have teachers who are worried that it's a bad reflection on themselves. I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've always thought that I'd be a teacher for 2 or 3 years. I would be a bad teacher in the sense that I would not give a shit if my students failed.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know it? Well, fuck it. You fail. You don't know it? Fuck it. You're not in band. You're not playing football this semester. I wouldn't care. And I think that if we taught the more corporate world, that the students would be better off, because we live in a world where the patients run the asylum because we're afraid of the parents, we're afraid of real world. The real world is, if you fail, you fail. Dude, I am self-employed,
Yeah.
right? If I don't work, I don't eat.
You're on the streets, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have to work my ass off to do what I do, and I do a very good job at what I do. But the thing is that I have no one else to blame but myself. And it's I mean, I hate to be Judge Smales from Caddyshack, but the world needs ditch diggers too.
Yeah.
If you don't do the work, you shouldn't get the degree. You shouldn't get the diploma, because there are a lot of kids out there, a lot of who play football, who can't even spell football.
David Outwater, if you suck, you suck. Oh God.
Dude, I mean, it's just, you did the work or you didn't.
Yeah. Hey man, we're coming up against it. I know
Hey,
you got a meeting.
real fast before we go, I wanted to say RIP.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to an actor that
Yeah, I'm gonna
has
put
San
him up.
Antonio ties, man.
There he is.
Adon Canto.
Adam Canto.
Yeah.
Adon Canto.
Adon, ADAN. Yeah, so they misspelled it on that one, so
Yep.
my bad. Adon Canto was an actor who I thought has a very, very fascinating story. There's 2 TV shows that I enjoyed in recent years a lot. One was on Fox called The Following. The other one was on ABC and later on Netflix called Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Adon Canto played the chief of staff, was a very good actor. And then you learn a little bit more about him. He also appeared, by the way, on X-Men Days of Future Past. He played Sunspot. And the thing about it is that this is a guy that's from Mexico who, his story goes, he crossed the Texas-Mexico border every day to go to school in Del Rio.
Yeah.
So was that Acuña? I think that's Acuña to Del Rio. And long story short, when it came to it all, he has some ties to San Antonio because Michael Morales, the famed 4-time Grammy-winning producer, would work with Adon Canto when it came to music and singing and stuff like that. So he was kind of a musical guy along the way. He had a band also in Mexico that performed a Mexican style of jazz. And Adon Canto passed away at the age of 42. And I woke up this morning to these posts on Instagram of people reaching out saying RIP to him, because these were people that were on Designated Survivor and The Following. And I was like, oh my God, he died. He actually died of a very rare cancer. It's a cancer of the appendix.
Damn, that is strange, dude.
Yeah, and he was on a TV show currently on Fox that I was not very familiar with, that he had taken off after season 2, but said that he would come back sometime in season 3. But his health deteriorated and he passed away. Very, very talented young man, very, very handsome man. My wife would always talk about how good looking he is. But he's passed away at the age of 42. Again, Mexican, San Antonio ties, very good actor, gone too soon. Adon Canto at the age of 42. Again, Spurs play tonight, 6 p.m. tip-off against the Detroit Pistons. This is the first of 4 games that they're going to win in a row. Spurs favored by 3.5 points. Wemby's going to go out there. I'll predict 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks. 26, wow. 11, and 4.
Not a bad stat line.
And zero self-check-ins. That's
I'll go out them here, Mike. I'll say the Spurs will go ahead and beat the Pistons by at least 10 plus points.
Cover that spread, baby. I don't care if they cover the spread or not. Just win the game. Just give us something, baby. That is Joe Garcia. My name's Mike Jimenez. Thank you to Jeff Garcia, Moneybags from Locked On Spurs at Ken's 5. Don't forget to follow Jeff Garcia on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Don't forget to follow him on the YouTube platform, on Spotify for Locked On Spurs, your daily Spurs content. Thank you to all our listeners. And again, before you leave, hit the like button, share us on Facebook, share us on Instagram, share us on TikTok, share us on Twitter. Let people know we're doing what we're doing. This has been a fun show. We'll be back tomorrow.
Right. See you fellas tomorrow.